Welcome to the Lovecraft Tapes podcast. This is Case 12, Color of Lightning. I am Jeremy, your keeper of arcane lore, and we play Call of Cthulhu, a sci-fi horror role-playing game. Your investigator of the unknown is Matt as Rocky.
How to lose an annoying person as quickly as possible.
Nice. In this episode, each investigator will be playing separate sessions, a secret encounter to which the others will not be privy. If and how they choose to share this experience at a later date is entirely their choice. Now, dear investigator, we play Case 12, Tape 7, Scream a Little Scream.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it. It's a joke.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, before we begin, we're going to take a little peek at your character sheet. So we kind of want to just go over a few things. I had a couple notes, and we kind of want to just take temperature of how Rocky's doing. The first thing I noticed was that thanks to your excellent role playing, you mentioned previously in one of the previous episodes that Rocky went undercover as a clown to suss out a clown. Well, they thought it was a killer clown, but it was actually the Shadow Man. And you mentioned during that episode that you became quite adept at juggling. So I think we need to add a skill to your skill set, don't we? So go ahead and in the miscellaneous skills there, go ahead and type juggling. And you did mention that you're quite adept at it. So I think we're probably going to put you around 45. I think that sounds very adept. Maybe not expert, but in the short time that you were there. And, whether or not you use this or, in some way, shape, or form, that's up to you. But there may come a time when juggling might be a thing. I don't know. We'll see. I just thought it was an interesting and fun thing to put in there. Also, I noticed that your sanity is currently sitting at 62. Now, you have a maximum of 92, so you slipped quite a ways down there. But if you take a look at that very rightmost one, your threshold for the day was 68. Now, I think maybe we forgot to reset that threshold, because I don't think you've taken 6 sanity damage since we began this particular case.
Yeah, no, I think that was the last case.
Yeah. So
and I think I keep forgetting that that's a thing.
Yep.
So it just kind of sits there.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do is, and I think we both agree, you did not take 6. You never reached the threshold of 5, which is the only time that you might get a bout of madness. So I think, there's some things that are going to happen in this particular session that may impact your sanity. So whatever your sanity is at the end of this session, go ahead and change that rightmost one, because that'll be the new threshold. Okay.
Okay.
So just try to remember that. I'll try to remember the same. And the other thing is, we just kind of want to take a peek and see how else you were sitting. You've taken no damage, so you're at 11 hit points. No big deal there. You're still at 46 luck and 14 magic points. And then your skill sets, it looks like you've managed to attain proficiency in disguise, spot hidden, and stealth. I think those are the only 3 that you've managed to succeed at
so far. Hopefully so far.
I mean, and I'm really
with the way I played last case.
Yeah. Yeah. But that last session we played, that last tape we played, you were actually rolling really well, super well. So
it's taken a long time for that Wheaton to just wear out of.
And I noticed too, I'm very happy to see that your computer use is at 5%, because that's sort of in keeping with how long it's taking the SIM card to download and how long it's taking the video thing to like it all makes sense within the framework
So a lot of people are like, we need to find this out. I'm like, let's go to the library instead of, hold
Yes.
on, there's a computer in the basement.
Exactly. Okay, good. And I think the only other thing I had for you, I had a twofold question that I thought might be interesting to ask is, how does Rocky feel right now? Like, what's his mental state of mind? Does he have any immediate concerns at this stage in this case?
Exasperation. He's, you know, just about to get neck deep into a new problem, and Charlene keeps butting in and trying to play nice and flirting, and he's like, no, look, I have work to do. And again, one of the tenets that he has is he's all about protecting people that are, quote, on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in his mind, like one of the utmost things he has to do is to, he endures all of these things so that other people don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought of getting close to someone like Charlene, who's completely oblivious to all of this, is like a very much a no for him. Like he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to risk causing anybody else any kind of pain later on, or he saw what happened to Ricky
Mm-hmm.
and Danny
Oh yeah.
in the house, and that even kind of just cemented it further that there are people in the world that can handle these kinds of things, but for the vast majority of them, they're better not knowing because ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, and that, gosh, that makes perfect sense. That is like your brand. Essentially, it's become your brand. And that's, you could say that those feelings or that direction is perhaps even in spite of any feelings that he may have for other people, right? Because you're kind of looking at it from a certain logical standpoint.
Yeah, even if he, ends up finding somebody that he really likes.
How does he feel about
Again,
Charlene right now? Like, I know what he's doing about Charlene, but what does he feel?
um, right now she's like that fly that, just around your head, no matter how much you swat at it, it just keeps coming back for you.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, good. So let's take that same concept and flip it a little bit. What does Matt, the player, have? Uh, does Matt have any concerns about Rocky, looking at it from the outside?
I feel like the biggest concern for him is that his isolation and the ease at which he separates himself from everyone else, and the fact that he seems on the surface totally okay with creating this massive void of space around him is what's going to end up being his downfall. Because when it comes to the point where he needs other people there, there's not going to be anyone there to stop him from going over that edge.
Gotcha.
Especially with being chased by the filler of space and still not understanding any of that.
Yeah.
That could very easily be what does him in, and he won't have that support network that you really genuinely need when you're going through some serious stuff.
Okay, good. I think that's all good stuff. All right, let us continue. Rocky. The stomach ache you wake up to on Thursday morning is tenfold worse than the one you suffered while undercover as a fishmonger on that mission to identify gun runners shipping their wares up the Ganges back in 1990 something. But we don't like to think about Ganges, do we? No, certainly not. Too much mopping up in more ways than one. As you lurch from your bed at Blaine Manor, you vaguely overhear a snippet of conversation between Roy and Officer Bugsy Jr. downstairs. Somebody's missing? But it can't concern you now. Only medicine, meditation, and a distinct lack of people bothering you will help quell the roiling in your guts. You reluctantly down half a bottle of Pepto-Bismol and then waddle to the elevator, which whisks you several hundred feet below the mansion to the silent comfort of darkened hallways hewn from natural stone. Half-heartedly, you check on the video repair. No update yet. Forlornly, you check the SIM card progress. Slow going at 35%. Aimlessly, you wander around looking for something, anything, to occupy your attention while your body sorts things out. While rifling through papers in the storage area, you come across a manifest for certain strange artifacts imported from Wuhan, China. A statuette purported to come alive to kill the possessor's foes. A silver and emerald-studded bracelet rumored to imbue its wearer with unerring accuracy while wielding ranged weapons. And, among other things, an ossified rhinoceros horn said to double crop yield when planted at the edge of a cornfield during a blood moon. These are all very interesting at first, but as you pore over the typewritten carbon copies in the dim light, the pain in your intestines twists tighter and your eyes grow heavy. Perhaps a bit of a nap is just the thing to heal your hurt. You close your eyes and dream. So, tell us about your dream. Let's paint a picture here. Where are you? Is it a nightmare or is it a good dream?
I feel like it lean a little more towards a nightmare. There's a whole lot of uncertainty. There's clowns. There's all the frustration with not being able to fix the video or understand what's going on with the phone, and it's a lot of bad energy to carry with you into dreamland.
Sure. So let's try to give it a concrete setting. So, what is the location you're at in this
The
dream?
hallway between the mainframe room and the storage room.
Okay, nice. And what are you wearing?
Well, I didn't put on pants today, but I didn't think
It's
it was
your
necessary.
dream. It's Rocky's dream, so it could be anything.
If it's Rocky, then he's still wearing a suit and a tie.
Okay, so no manifestation of his unconsciousness is changing the way that he looks based on the nature of this uneasy dream.
I feel like if there's one thing that he has, it's a very strong sense of self-image.
Okay, let's put him in that same suit, but maybe it's somewhat fakey. It's sort of almost like a clown suit. It's
A
an
little bit too big.
exaggeration of
Yeah.
his normal suit. It's slightly oversized. The shoulder pads are askew. And he's standing in this hallway. Um, you mentioned clowns. So let's say that you're standing just outside the door to the mainframe and you're in the middle of the hallway where at one end is that door that you've never been able to open. At the other end is that door that leads to the storage area. But straight ahead is that room with the mainframe and where the computer is attempting to revitalize Charles Blaine's video file. But the door is closed, and ringing it is an archway of paper mache clown faces, and you feel like each time you go to grab the doorknob, it slowly shape shifts into a red nose. And so you instinctively pull your hand back because you'll be damned if you touch that. Anything else? Anything else in the dream that you can point out? You feel uneasy. We know that much.
I feel like there'd be a hint of something, whether it's just a little sliver of light or something coming out from around the frame
Mm-hmm.
of the door that he's never been able to open. Because that's, in essence, is he wants answers, and so his brain is trying to give him, even though there are really no answers at this point, it's trying to give him what he wants. So
Mm-hmm.
that door is the answer, and you have almost that, like, you know, golden glow of light coming from around it that's very much tells you in any kind of movie or video game that yes, that is where you want to be.
You turn your Jedi powers and it turns blue for a second. You turn away. Turn it back. Yeah, and that's
Why is it
exactly.
purple?
Why is it purple all of a sudden?
Samuel L. Jackson is in there.
Indeed, you look down that hallway at this object of your desire, essentially, and this golden glow seeps at the edges of the frame. It brightens to an extent that you wonder if something isn't on fire on the other side. It's that bright and alarming. And then with a hiss, as if your mind unlocked the tumbler that you can't even locate, with a key that you do not possess, the door hisses open just a few inches.
I'm going to cock my head and just give it a second, and then very cautiously start taking a couple of steps toward it, only to stop and look back at the door to the main frame
Okay.
before I continue on towards that door.
And it's as if your feet are gliding effortlessly across the hallway floor. You take a simple 2 steps towards the door and you're halfway down the hall towards it. You're moving much more quickly than human locomotion can ordinarily take you. And before you realize it, you are standing in front of this door. There is a 6-inch crack that you can peer through, but all is golden light with shadowy shapes inside that appear to be flickering. It's quite bright. You can't make out what they are through the crack.
To kind of press up a little closer to the opening and notice that there's a breeze coming through the door, and it smells an awful lot like popcorn and cotton candy.
And it does. And as you press closer, smelling the waft of hot buttered popcorn, which is, it's enticing, but it's filled with the promise of excitement, yet a tinge of danger. And involuntarily, your arm opens the portal wider. And inside, it's not a circus at all. It appears to be some sort of laboratory. There are all these science tables with beakers and Bunsen burners and test tubes and large carafes, apothecary jars filled with blobs of floating, you're not quite sure what, in the cloudy, milky substance. And standing at a chalkboard with their back to you, but scrawling something on the board with chalk is Madame Starbuck. And without turning around, she says, "You're late, Rocky. Please have a seat." And she's writing some sort of formula on the board.
I'm going to start walking up towards where she's at the board. Well, you know how things can get.
Why, yes, I do. And thank you for joining us today. I know this is your dream, but I thought maybe you and I could have a little chat.
You mean the, you mean to tell me that the special dinner we had, I mean, may I mention that you missed a fingernail or two, wasn't enough of a statement?
Well, I do apologize if that wasn't to your liking, but like I said, old family recipe. So why are we here?
If I had to take a guess, this is an attempt at some sort of recreation of the lab that I did a good chunk of my initial officer training in back when I was at the academy.
Interesting, interesting. Well, you've certainly fleshed out all the details. And is this supposed to be beneath Blaine Manor?
Well, in reality, it wasn't, but it seems that my prolonged amounts of time underneath the house have begun to have an influence on me.
Well, don't take it too hard. This is simply a dream, after all.
True.
Almost anything could happen here. And that's kind of why I decided to step in.
Do you think that this movie needs a director?
Not at all. If this is your dream, you are the director, of course. You can make almost anything happen. Almost.
Yes, well, the almost is the part that worries me.
You would like
There's
some
nothing
certainty.
scarier than the world almost.
Yes, it's we would like to be sure of things in this world, would we not?
Most people would, yes, but seeing what I've seen, certainty is a lie.
And
There is no such thing.
how do you see with that person's eyes?
You know, that's a really good question that I've been meaning to ask myself for a long time. You know, once you get going in this field, this role, this business, whatever you wish to call it, things tend to. Oh, how do I phrase this in a way that even I would understand? Move around you. When you're busy jumping in and out of portals, crossing dimensions, wrestling with things that shouldn't be wrestled with, it's almost as if you're stuck still while the rest of the world just moves on around you. And while it's tolerable at first, at some point you notice a disconnection. It almost feels like you don't belong anymore. And you'll try to make it work. You know, you'll maybe find a nice apartment, make some friends, but you'll realize that it's not really something that's available to you anymore. You look around you and all you see are the potentials of the dangers of the worlds that nobody else can ever see. You jump at shadows moving across walls because you don't know if that is a shadow or if it is, well, something a little more dangerous. You,
Something like the filler of space?
oh, him.
Yes, him. He can be quite annoying.
Oh, you're telling me. I mean, the number of times he's interrupted my dreams trying to do the whole, oh, you have a deal kind of shtick. I just want to tell him it's not the first time I've had deals with things.
Well, speaking of eyes, I seem to make out that there is a certain number floating there in the back of yours. Is it a 5 or a 6? I can't quite make it out.
Last time I checked, I believe it's still at a 6. Now, mind you, I'm not sure what that 6 means at this point, but
Would you like to?
who wouldn't? I mean, answers are by stock and trade a lot of what I do. And as
Well,
much as I would love to know everything, everything comes with a price.
that is a wise statement. And I could probably help you with that, this filler of space problem, amongst other things. But of
For
course, I
what?
need a little something too in return. If you're
Have a nice
amenable,
Rolex.
Rolex, no, I'd have no need of time. X.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
so
I'm more of a Casio purpose person myself.
I have a really nice calculator watch. That'll do it for you.
Well, Rocky, I know this is your dream, but I think we should probably lay the cards on the table. This place gives me the creeps, honestly. I don't really like to hang out in people's dreams that much, but it can be useful. You see,
Stick around. You might get to see the first human dissection I did. That was.
um, it sounds like fun, really, but I do have a lot to do. And would you be interested in a bargain of sorts? I could tell you exactly what that number means, and I could probably offer you a way out. Is there anything else that you would like?
Winning lottery numbers for next week's draw, if you have them.
I may? Is that your price, money?
To a younger, less informed person, maybe.
You don't strike me as such.
There are things far more powerful out there than material wealth or objects. Most objects, anyway.
Agreed. Agreed. Would your freedom and escape from Bug Josh be of worth?
I guess it comes down to what's on the other side of that scale.
Exactly. Well, small, really pranks when you think about it. Small, minor details. You see, there's a certain person in your sphere of influence. You've only recently met her. You hardly know her. Pippa?
Yes, the number 2 real estate agent in Arkham.
Yes, she's going nowhere fast, trust me. She has a certain stone that belongs to me.
Oh, you're talking about one of these, and I'm going to pull my hand up from under the table, and I'm going to be holding the stone, or at
Ye-
least a representation of the stone.
yes, that is exactly. Your memory is faultless. That is exactly it. I need that to complete my work and to assist you with that filler of space. He's nothing too easy to tangle with. Trust me.
I'm assuming the work that you're trying to finish is the work you started, oh, what was it, 70, 75 years ago when you were last in town?
I, gosh, that's so long ago. I couldn't quite tell you and remember
You don't
I've been a.
remember your circus burning to the ground?
Oh, I don't. I remember a very hot July evening. I really, that's all I can remember. Yes.
Of course. A well-traveled woman such as yourself must not have much time for memories of the past, always moving forward, aren't we?
Yes. Well, it's either that or die, and who wants to die? Not I. So, what say you? Is this something that you could perform for me? Just before the grand opening of the Twilight Sideshow. Just acquire it somehow. You have skills.
I do have skills, and they do pay bills, yes.
Oh, and there is one more thing, too.
Oh, isn't there
Uh,
always?
yeah, and this is a little more personal, but trust me, I'm trying to do a good thing here. Uh, your brother, Roy. I think it might be time that his wife knew he was in town. Greta, I believe her name is. Just a
Yes,
nice
and
phone call
the
from you to let her know that he's in town. That's all. These two simple things, and I can get this. Well, I don't want to say demigod, but demigod off your back. Extinguish those little lights in your eyes. And there is something else I thought of. You had a friend once, an acquaintance, an employee. I think their name
uh,
was
Declan.
Detox.
Oh no, oh either one really.
Yes. Well, I am aware of someone named Detox. That's all the name that comes to me. I've encountered them. They're still quite alive. At least part of them is.
And I was so sure that anti-life mishap in that facility really did her and or
Well,
him.
it.
We weren't ever very specific about it, were we?
No, we weren't. Well, their body is, alas, no more. But their mind, oh, still quite alive in the library city.
You know, you're not the first person that has mentioned that to me in recent days.
Coincidence? Yes, well, please let me know if you get any other offers better than mine. So, what say you, Rocky? Are these appealing to you? These small tasks in exchange for, well, kindnesses, really.
See, this isn't my first time, believe it or not, sitting on this side of the table.
Certainly not.
And as somebody who has been in my position before, there really is only one rule. Proof. You want me, to do something for you. You claim you have all these answers, all this wonder, and yet I'm forced to carry out certain favors only on the prayer that you have what you say you have.
It is true. Yes, I can offer you something. What would you like as proof? Name it.
Let's start with one. Do a little tit for tat, maybe. You scratch my back, then I'll scratch yours. Why don't you start by explaining those numbers of mine?
Well, let's say that when realities intertwine, when the physical and the mental and the supernatural coalesce, sometimes a bit of inextricable material becomes embedded in the thing that does not belong. And as I understand it, you have recently been in a different kind of reality in a different form, were you not?
You speak of the cat incident, I assume.
I do, yes. The cathartic
Hmm.
arena was actually your saving grace. If you had not had the 9 lives of a cat, Bugshosh surely would have taken you upon your first death. And I'm pretty sure that's a 5 currently, which means you probably have 4 left. Do with that information what you will. It is of no consequence to me. But things will get worse upon every demise that you experience. Bugshosh will be closer and closer to possessing your body. And eventually, you will enter his nightmare realm and be no more.
Well, whatever his nightmare realm is, it possibly can't be worse than the DMV.
Or say, this laboratory. I mean, it's kind of boring, really, when you think about it. No
I mean, if you
offense.
want to see something exciting, I can just mix a few of these here together and
Oh, like one of your nephews? Kabooey!
I mean, who do you think taught him?
Exactly. So that is the piece of information I have to share with you. I hope it's useful. Maybe not what you wanted to hear, but
So let me get this straight. You want Pippa's stone,
yes.
and you want me to call Greta
Yes.
and inform
Phone
her that her
call.
husband is in town.
Don't you think it's about time they were reunited?
It would be a lovely sentiment if you weren't currently transposed into someone else's body.
Well, I'm sure they can work it out. I mean, marriage is a bond for life.
But how many lives?
For him, probably just the one. I guess you can count yourself lucky in that regard. I guess.
You know what? I think I'll take you up on your deal.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that because I've got some friends in the back room and they get very angry when I'm upset. So Thank you. I didn't want it to come to this. It's your dream. We can end it nicely. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Oh, you more than me.
Until we meet again, Rocky. And the dream recedes as you slowly awaken. It is Friday, and the sideshow opens this evening at twilight. And that's it for this episode of Lovecraft Tapes. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you prefer. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review. Meanwhile, you can find us at lovecrafttapes.com with links to all our hashtag recommendos and social media channels, including Reddit, YouTube, and our Discord server, where you can chat with us in real time. You can find me on Twitter at lovecrafttapes.
And if anybody wants to sign up for my negotiating classes, because I'm just so great at it, you can hit me up for information on Twitter at The Real Weird Kid.
Until next time, roll for Bunsen burner.